Hello, everybody. If you want to know how to make vegetables taste better, if you want to know what eating is a party in your mouth means, and if you want to see food and eating and preparing food through a completely different lens from an unbelievable expert that we have tonight, then do not change the dial. Stay right where you are because Professor, I'm going to even call you Professor.
That's good.
Jennifer Stack is amazing. I'm going to introduce her as I usually do, and then turn it over to her. I want to give my thanks to Alex Dushinsky, my co-host, who
Hello, everyone.
this would never happen without him because it took me 6 months to learn how to use Zoom. So he's the tech guy. And I am Rich Weil, the founder and director of Transformation Weight Control. And if you go to my website, you can find me. So Jennifer,
Yes.
she is a registered dietitian nutritionist. She has a master's of science degree in nutrition from New York University. She is also a certified diabetes educator, as am I, and that is a certification that actually means something. You can't work in a hospital, you can't work in a doctor's office, you can't work in a diabetes clinic without that certification. So she has that. She is also which I did not know, and we are friends and have been for quite some time, the nutrition therapist with Evolution Trauma and Wellness in New York City, which I want to hear about in a little while. And she was the nutrition therapist at the behavioral health program at NYU, where I met her, and we were running weight loss groups together. We ran a program, and I think that was when Abraham Lincoln was president. I think
Yeah.
that was
Uh-huh.
that was pretty long ago.
Yeah.
She has many more than 20 years experience in the field. She has a private practice. She has been practicing since people thought margarine was healthier than butter. This woman is just amazing. She is also the author of the Diabetes Friendly Kitchen 125 Recipes for Creating Healthy Meals. You can find that on Amazon. She's been on the Dr. Oz Show, ABC's Good Morning America, and numerous other videos. But here's the kicker. Here's the thing that sets Jennifer apart from every dietitian I have ever worked with in my 45 years. And I have worked with countless dietitians. Not only is she formally educated, experienced, and she is genuinely motivated to help you live healthier, better lives, but she is a graduate with honors and a full-time professor at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, where they also have branches in California, Texas, and Singapore. The CIA, funny CIA, but that's what it is, Culinary Institute of America, is recognized as the world's premier culinary college. She is hot to trot. She's the best. Honestly, I don't know another dietitian who has that. She has all the, medical and science credentials, but she also is a fantastic cook. She teaches there. She knows the whole thing. And that's what I mean when I say, if you want to see food through a whole new lens, you're going to listen to Jennifer. And I will finally attest to one last thing, which I told her I was going to say, because we used to go hiking together.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Exactly. I love peanut butter and jelly while I'm hiking. She made the best ever peanut butter and jelly sandwich for me. It was it was in a wrap, and I don't know what she did, but I have eaten food she has prepared, and she is really a master chef. And so listening today, you're going to hear all the stuff that, you need to hear to learn how to eat and live healthier, but she's also going to help you see food through a different lens and, how to make it taste better and how to, nothing's harder than changing the way you eat. She can really do that with her extraordinary skills and all this extra experience. So, Jen, do you want to say anything before we get started?
I absolutely want to say something. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate.
Now, if you talk about me, I'll never talk to you again.
I am going to. So I appreciate the accolades, Rich. But I have to say to everyone that is listening, Rich's concept of what is delicious food is off of it. So, it was not a huge accomplishment on my part to create an amazing PB&J, but I did. But it was not that spectacular. It's just that Rich's criterias are a little, not so good.
No,
Well, I got to say then, I'm looking forward to this because my idea of a good meal is anything that I can throw into a microwave and nuke it for a couple of minutes and then put it on the plate. And so to
and
me, that's, as a vegan, is, like some steamed vegetables and something that's frozen that I can, defrost real quick. I am
well,
not checked out in the kitchen at all. I can hardly boil water.
Okay.
Alex, you're going to learn how to make vegetables taste better.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay, but hang on. Time out.
yeah,
I have to make something clear, okay?
yeah. Go ahead.
I am slightly biased, okay?
Okay.
And I believe the food that is good for you has to taste extraordinary. Now, Alex, you may say just some steamed vegetables from the microwave taste extraordinary, and that is great.
They do not.
Oh, well, then we got to work on that. But
That's what I'm capable of.
does not have to be a fancy meal by any means, okay? But the whole reason I went back to culinary school was, kind of when I was working with Rich and working with a lot of other people, this was at the height of the fat-free craze. And I remember kind of preparing and tasting what was considered healthy food. And it was really disappointing. And it was not ideal because you would ask somebody, well, how does it taste? And they would look at you and say, well, it's not bad. Pretty good. And that to me is the kiss of death, okay? Food that's good for us should taste just as good as food that's not. It'll be a different taste. But we need to have that standard. And so that's when I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go back to culinary school. And I did. And here I am now, a few years later.
Jen, did you just say that food that it may not be as good for you is supposed to taste as good as food what did you say?
No.
What did you say?
No, we know that food that's not good for us tastes delicious most of the time.
Right.
What I was saying is that food that is healthy, food that is good for us, that enhances our well-being, should taste just as fabulous.
Oh, I see. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
We had Marianne Nessel on a few weeks ago, and she was talking about the fact that, Coca-Cola, Archer Daniel Million, all these major food companies know how to make the food taste great. They don't have your health in mind, but they know how to make it taste good. And so what you're saying is that a Frito-Lay that tastes great to us, or a McDonald's fry, you're saying that a healthy food can taste and should taste just as good.
Yes.
And the thing about you is that you know how to do that. So that's what you do. Oh, I know you do. Yeah, I have seen you.
Can I make one other disclaimer?
It's your podcast.
Okay. All right. You mentioned two of my favorites. You said Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
And I believe you referenced McDonald's French fries.
I did.
Okay. All right. Just because I'm a dietitian and a chef does not mean I don't have my favorite foods. And I will absolutely say, I think the health food of the junk food world is Fritos. The old-fashioned Fritos. I love
Really?
it.
The corn chips? The corn chips?
Yeah, the old Fritos corn chips. Because look at the
tell us.
ingredient list. And you see corn.
Yeah.
You see vegetable oil. And I think they say like corn or canola. And then you see salt.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, granted, it's not whole corn, but that's it. 3 ingredients.
Okay.
That's pretty close to whole food, if you ask me.
Exactly. Okay. So I do love Fritos, and I love McDonald's French fries.
All right. Well, then you heard it. You heard it here first on this podcast.
Yes.
One of the most qualified dietitians you'll ever hear just told you that Frito-Lay's corn chips, no problem. Okay. Good. Well, that's great. So listen, as I do with most people who are guests, we speak before. And one of the things you said to me that resonates and is how I always looked at it is that people don't see food as nourishment or fuel. Right. And I'd like you to comment about that because I think, I know for me, that always worked as a way. And I don't have the greatest food taste, as you say, which is true, but I see it as fuel for my body and so forth. Can you comment on that a little bit?
Right. Well, and the majority of the people that I've worked with, their experience with food has been it's like one of their best friends, or like a roommate, okay? And somebody you get along with fabulously, you have wonderful times together. And so that relationship is all about, oh, it tastes good. I love you. I want more of you. I don't want this to end. And has nothing to do, or very little to do, with getting nutrients or even seeing it as fuel. And that's not necessarily a problem, except that when somebody struggles with putting boundaries around their eating, thinking of food as just your friend, thinking of food as your highlight of your day, can end up backfiring. I mean, it backfires in the impact it has on your health.
In terms of how much you eat, the volume,
In
or
terms of the volume, yes,
uh,
but also the quality choices. If you have, if you grew up with, or even as an adult, you became accustomed to ultra processed foods, to fast foods. Like you said, the companies developing those foods put in a tremendous amount of research to find what they call the bliss point. That point when the fat with the sugar, with the salt is so perfect, you don't want to stop eating that food.
yeah, right. I mean, I still have culinary memories of McDonald's French fries as a kid because they seem to taste exactly the same as they did
They
then.
do. They
And
do.
that's what you're talking about, right? And
Yeah.
the other thing I think, and you call that a bliss point, BLISS,
Bliss. I'm
bliss.
like, I'm in heaven. I'm
Yeah.
in bliss.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other thing that I got from you was that you kind of were taught, when we were talking about food as nutrition and fuel, it's like you wouldn't put cruddy gasoline in your automobile or low quality oil. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. Is that
Yes.
fair?
Yes. And actually, I use that example with my students at the Culinary Institute. And I tell them, think of the food, or, the carbohydrate, protein, and fat, as the gasoline. And your body is a high performance sports car. Okay. And so you can put fuel in, you can put that, the cheap gasoline in. But if your car does not have I'm not a car person, but if your car does not have like transmission fluid and the oil and the proper air pressure in the tires, I don't care what's in the tank, you're not going anywhere. So if you really want that machine to run, you need
Right.
the right fuel and you need the right accompaniments with it, meaning the vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
And
Because you then
Yeah,
you go ahead,
sorry.
Jarvis. No.
I'd have to say that I don't know anyone that eats for nutrition. Everybody kind of eats for entertainment or what tastes good, but
yes,
nobody really that
Thanks.
like I kind of think about it, but I don't know anyone that really does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No.
well,
It's. Go ahead, Jay.
think of it as there's sort of this spectrum of people who don't think at all about how will this food impact my movement, my energy, my well-being. Their whole experience is in that moment as they're consuming the food, as they're anticipating the food. And then there's people at the other end where they become almost I want to say disabled, but that's not quite the right word, immobilized because they don't know what to eat because they are looking for the right foods to give them the best nutrition. And that actually is an eating disorder known as orthorexia. So both extremes exist. And there are people who find the balance between, okay, I need fuel. I need to pick something for breakfast this morning because I will not get another break until 2 p.m. and I'm not going to have the energy. if I don't get the right things to eat. And
Okay.
when you can learn to balance that, okay, I need the nutrition, I need food to meet my fuel right now, with the, oh, I just want to have a party in my mouth, then you develop and you reach that point of a really, um, I don't like the word healthy approach to food, but um, shoot, I can't think of another word, but just a healthy relationship with food. It's
Okay.
finding that
Yeah.
balance between the just, I just love eating and I got to eat this again.
Okay. Well, you kind of answered my next question as we were talking, which was going to
Mhm.
be, well, how do you get people to kind of think of food as fuel? But you kind of answered it. Be educating them, giving them those analogies
Yeah,
to a race car and all that, right?
yeah.
Is that's how
Well,
you do it, right?
yes and no. I think knowing that, oh, I'm supposed to eat for fuel, knowing something doesn't lead to the behavior change in
I
most
agree.
cases.
So then, what do you do to get people to think of food as nourishment? I mean, Alex says he does some of the time. I have, but how do you?
It, it does vary widely on the person, but I'm going to give you one scenario here. Okay. So if I'm working with somebody who has, their experience has been eating a lot of the ultra processed foods, restaurant foods, fast foods, foods that have definitely been crafted to, as we said, reach that bliss point. You don't want to stop eating. If that's what their sort of palate desires and prefers, and now we take that person and we put them in a scenario, perhaps they've been struggling with their weight for many, many years. And so they've learned that I need to eat less to lose weight. They might fall into the pattern of, well, I'm not that hungry in the morning and I just need my coffee, so I'm not going to eat much. And I feel okay right now. I really don't need to eat. And so then they'll end up the day ready to have a meal of these highly delicious, palatable foods, but they're not going to have any control in that moment because I call it hidden hunger, meaning
You
uh,
call it what? What do you call it?
hidden hunger.
Hidden
It's
hunger.
hidden.
Uh-huh.
Their body is needing and wanting food, but they're not experiencing it. And when you put that hidden hunger together with, it's the end of maybe a day with lots of stress, and you pair that up with those highly palatable foods, it's very difficult to be in control. And
Right.
so it's going to take time to change each of those elements. It takes
Yeah,
time
it
to
does.
develop a preference for real whole foods.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this 45 years, weight loss, and I know how difficult it is to get that through someone's head
Right.
to kind of get people to think differently about what they eat and so forth. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. I want to veer off for just one brief second to say Jennifer mentioned she's not a car person. I just want to let you know that she is an extremely accomplished horseback rider.
Oh
So
wow! You're just
she lives way up in the country,
wow.
and yeah, she's terrific. And she can ride a horse like no tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, so you mentioned body weight loss, and weight management, and you had told me before we spoke. You gave me three terms that I'd like to tease out a little bit. I'll read them to you, and then I'll remind you if you
Okay.
forget. Portion distortion, highly palatable addictive food, and the DoorDash phenomenon.
Oh,
So, could you address portion distortion first?
okay. So portion distortion is that over the decades, our concept of what is an appropriate amount of food has changed greatly. Okay, so all right, I confess I really like McDonald's French fries, and I remember growing up where there was only one size of French fries you could get, and that was what is today their little small paper pack of French fries. Okay, but today there are not too many people that order the small fries. Okay, they think that having the medium to large is absolutely appropriate. And this has happened with many foods, with the beverages that we drink. The largest size soda used to be the 16-ounce glass bottles. Do you remember those?
Oh
You
yeah,
carton and you returned the bottles for the money back. Okay.
yeah,
And now we all get a 20-ounce bottle is the
right,
smallest we
yeah.
can get.
Now, keep in mind our listeners are 25 years old, and they may not remember that. We're dating ourselves, Jen.
I know, I know. Well, Rich, I'm not dating myself. I am merely sharing the historical perspective from the
Yeah,
research I've
no,
done. Yeah,
but the distortion really is that we're looking at it, and it's just a distorted view from what we used to see. I mean,
correct, correct. And all right, so let me say for your 25-year-olds, etc., that might be all they know. And
correct,
so if that person is now being told, no, 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 that's too much, that's going to be a hard loss.
right,
Even though you might be totally satisfied if a smaller portion of fries was given to you. And I know we're going overboard with fries, but I'm just going to
no,
stick
no,
with that
no,
analogy, okay?
it's okay.
Um, and so there's this sense of loss because that's all I get. But
Yeah,
I'm used to the other one, and now we get to that point of those highly palatable, addictive foods. And I put addictive in air quotes because it is a different type of dependency than what we see with some opioid drugs or other, even in alcohol dependency. Okay, can be just as damaging to your physical and your mental well-being, but there is a little bit of a difference. So these highly palatable foods are coming very inexpensive in most cases. Okay, I mean what I can get for $5 at a fast food place compared to the container of blueberries I'm bringing home for $5. It's you know, if I'm not used to eating blueberries, I'm going for the other stuff.
so, Jen, I have a question for you, and this
Okay.
is this is something I never did social media. Alex is teaching me, is immersing me. Do you think that the folks in their 20s, in their 30s, is it going to resonate with them what you're saying that the portions have changed so much, and that they're going to feel like if it's a smaller portion, something's going to be taken away? Do you think they can relate to that? Do you think, or
Actually,
are we headed?
no, you're right. I don't think they can.
I,
So are
I
we
Because I
agree.
headed?
just aged myself, Rich.
So I mean, so have we headed? Have we set ourselves up for disaster with all of this? Do you think? I mean, how do you view it? Because I've been watching videos, and I'm like shocked at some of the things I'm hearing that are just simply misinformation. And here we are given the right information.
Yeah.
But what do you think? I mean,
Actually, I think you make a very good observation there, and it's a wake up call for me. I mean, I kind of know it in the back of my head, but yeah, we're dealing with people whose life experience, whose food experience, has been very, very different. And
right,
when we look at those individuals now being candidates or taking the anti-obesity medications,
right.
that is an interesting that's an interesting ball game.
You,
There are
you know,
things that need to be considered there that I don't think are being considered.
I have a weight loss medication support group that I started
I
17
know.
months ago, and it's been
Mhm.
doing wonderfully. It's the best idea maybe I've had in my career, and people can go on the website and read about it. Transformation Weight Control. But one of the things that people always say after they start taking these medications, because it fills you up, right? It delays gastric emptying and so forth. They cannot believe the volume of food they were eating
Right.
before they started taking these medications. I mean, it
Yeah.
just blows them away, and that's what you're kind of saying.
Yes. So
Yeah,
essentially, that those medications are helping them to acknowledge and to recognize, whoa, there is a little portion distortion there.
right. Yeah,
What
Alex.
I thought I
But
needed is, wow, I guess I really don't need that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
really
wonder though, because I think a lot of people know what healthy food is. They just know they associate it with, it tastes like cardboard. and I don't want to eat cardboard. I'd rather live a few years less and have, this rich meal instead. And, it is especially true when people find out I'm a vegan and they're like, oh, yeah, you eat salad all day. And so, no, I'd rather die early, but I'm going to keep enjoying what I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
So
I
I
had a
think that
couple.
plays a part in it as well.
Yeah, a couple thoughts on that, Alex. First of all, if you're accustomed to these highly palatable foods, junk foods, processed foods, fast foods, a lot of restaurant food, then most of what you taste from the healthy realm might initially taste like cardboard. Okay. So you have to acknowledge there's going to be sort of like a withdrawal phase of saying, my palate has to readapt itself to start tasting what food really tastes like. And here's the other thing. If the healthier food you're exposing yourself to is not of the highest quality, um, frozen vegetables, nutritionally, they can be absolutely fine. And there are certain ones that I swear by. Frozen green peas, frozen corn, okay? No problem with those. But certain other ones don't pass the flavor or texture test. And so people are going to reject them. And they're going to say, forget it. I don't want to live longer if this is how I have to eat. Can I be a downer for 1 minute? You won't?
Yes, you may. Because you really could, in my eyes, never be a downer.
We don't necessarily die right away, right? And we
Right.
know that when you're looking at, unmanaged diabetes, high blood pressure, a stroke is really not a good situation because you may then be disabled, and so it's a fantasy to think that hey, I'm just going to be enjoying everything right up until the minute I die, and it's not like
Well,
no more negativity.
I don't know if that's really quite so negative, Jen, because what it says to me is you can make a difference. You can
Yeah.
change this.
Yeah.
When we see people who come to our weight loss program and they're drinking 5 liters of regular beverage, Coca-Cola, a day. I mean, 5 full liters a day. I mean, it takes at least 10 to 12 days, maybe even a lot longer to withdraw from all that sugar. But then
Sure.
the thing they report is, boy, the vegetables taste sweeter. So I'm on board with you. So the thing is, I don't know how down that kind of information you're giving is. It means that we can get control and take care of our health and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so downer at all.
Okay.
Alex, you look like you have something to say.
Yeah, I just was going to say I don't think people associate what they eat with health outcomes, right? In other
Right.
words, like I like cauliflower. I know it reduces some chances of cancers and things like that. Like beets, help lower my blood pressure. But how many people are going to eat, half a raw beet because it reduces their blood
Yeah.
pressure?
And I have interviewed thousands of patients just to start a program. And when you have a 20, 30-year-old, they're not saying, I'm doing this for my health. I mean, it's just, when I was 25, I thought I was going to live forever also. So, I'm on board. Okay, Jennifer, let me return to what we were, the third
we
one.
didn't get to the third one. What was
Yeah,
the
you
third
go
one?
DoorDash phenomenon.
DoorDash. Okay. All right. Let's all put ourselves back into the what do you call it? The pandemic. Okay. And people are stuck inside. And actually, no. We're going to start a little pre-pandemic. Okay.
Okay.
Because a lot of places weren't open in the pandemic. But individuals who really struggle with binge eating, compulsive eating, prior to DoorDash or Uber Eats or any of those, maybe you could get a pizza delivered, but that was about it. And so there was an element of, excuse me, sorry, I'm tickle here. There's an element of being seen going out to get some of that food, an element of shame that would come from, going out to the restaurant, the deli, the grocery store, And with DoorDash or any of the other services, I don't have to really connect with anybody or show my face except to get that bag of food and then disappear with it. So it makes it easier to
Right.
eat in that
Almost
secret
to sneak it,
way.
almost like to sneak it.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, Jen, what you just said really strongly resonates with me. I keep dating myself. I've been doing this 45 years. There's so much eating in secret and
Mm-hmm.
private,
Mm-hmm.
particularly amongst people who are really struggling with having obesity, and
Yeah.
and so it so resonates with me what you're saying, and
Yeah.
we can now hide that we don't, it's like a big secret,
Right.
DoorDash and
Right.
things. Okay,
And you're in a comfortable place to do
yeah,
eating.
right.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, just my personal experience on that. I remember before the pandemic. I used to run a lot, and I was always overweight, but not as bad as when Uber Eats and these services came out.
Yeah.
There was a period for the last couple of years where it's I'm ordering things a couple of times a week. Um,
yeah.
it's only recently, like since November, I stopped, like maybe one a month.
Mm-hmm.
And is one of the problems, Jen, just simply that we don't really know what we're getting when we order it like that? They're putting a lot of butter on things. What is it? What is the
No,
issue? No,
I don't think it's that we don't know what we're getting. We know what we're getting. We're getting stuff that tastes really good. That we
right.
don't have to do a lot of work to prepare. It's highly
Okay.
satisfying. It's I've said before about sort of the food being a best friend,
Right.
and you have such a good time together.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I
Okay.
think that's more it. And
Okay.
you said it before. People aren't really thinking about this food and the impact on the health, or this food and what nutrients are in it. It's just
Yeah.
I'm having an experience with this food,
Right.
and it's a
And
good.
I have to say, we, over all the years in the programs that I have developed, food friends is an issue. I mean, I have heard people say the only thing that we have in common is we go out to dinner together. And some people give up their food friends because,
Right.
it's not working for
Yeah.
them. It's not helping them. Yeah, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to tell us what it means. Eating is a party in your mouth.
Okay.
What does
First,
that mean?
first, I want to take all of us back to perhaps it was our teenage years, perhaps it was our early 20s, maybe even later, and you're going to a party. Okay? And this is a great party. People you like are there. It is rocking. It is happening. You're having the time of your life, and you don't want to leave. So you don't leave. You stay there a long time. Okay, you finally go home, and the next day, like, oh my God, I have a headache. I shouldn't do that. But you do it again. And you do it again. And then finally, at some point, you start to realize, I got to go to work the next day. I'm going to have to leave this party a little earlier. So you talk yourself out of it. I want to stay. I do, but I got to go. I got to go. So you leave the party. Well, a mouth party is when the food and the experience is so amazing, you don't want it to end. And it doesn't end. And so
Yeah.
when you've made the decision, I don't want to binge, I don't want to eat like that anymore, you have to coach yourself out of the party. You have to
Right.
say, wait a minute, we can come back again tomorrow. We can party tomorrow.
That's right.
I got to cut it short right now.
It's like at Thanksgiving. It is not the last piece of pumpkin pie you're ever going to see. You don't have to have, right? Is that kind of what you're?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I will also add that if you go to this party in your mouth and you really haven't nourished your body all day, maybe you've had a little snack here or there, maybe you have coffee and a donut, but basically your body needs nourishment. You're hungry, even though you might not feel it in your stomach. You're not going to be able to end that party. It's
Right.
not a matter of willpower. You're human.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
very difficult to do.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'm on board. Okay, let's switch gears just a tiny bit. One of the things you said to me, well, or that I highlighted, plant
Mhm.
based is win win, and people need the mindset.
Yes.
So tell us, because when someone comes to you as a dietitian privately, how do you get them? I want to know what you mean by people need the mindset, and how do you get them there? So you're saying plant based is win win,
Yeah.
and so
Plant based. First of all, let's just say we're going to eat more fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, nuts, seeds, things that aren't alive and moving. Okay, they don't have legs. They don't have fins. They don't have feathers.
or mommies, they don't have mommies.
Right.
That's
No lips or mommies.
okay. No lips or mommies. All right. So um, so it's win-win because there really is a solid base of evidence that says, you know what, there's a lot of good stuff in these plant foods that's going to make you feel good, is going to improve your health. Hey, also the health of the planet, also the health of the people growing these foods under the right circumstances. So that's why it's a win-win. But I'm going to make it a win-win-win, a triple win, because when you learn how to make them taste really good,
Right.
that's a home run. It's a home run.
That's
Oh,
that's where we're headed
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
I
Alex, go
like
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
I
You
like
like
it.
it?
I mean, I 100% agree. Since I went vegan in 2016 and I saw my energy levels rise
Yeah.
and my blood work, Rich looked at it and he said, it's the blood work of a 25-year-old, even
Mhm.
though I'm almost 55. So I'm happy with it. But I can tell you there are doctors out there. There's Dr. Shafi, I believe is his name. He goes on, and does these seminars where he talks about how vegetables are killing us. They have all these defense mechanisms for, preventing things from eating them, and so all of that goes into our system and is killing us. And of
Yeah.
course, we have to be pure carnivore and nothing else.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And
what do you say to that?
Yeah. Listen, in his world, that's his belief. That's fine. I often say nutrition is like a religion, right? So in a religion, there's no hard scientific evidence that says, oh, yes, the supreme being exists. Yet when somebody has adopted a religion, they believe it with their heart and soul. It influences their choices, it influences their behaviors. And when they firmly, deeply believe, they want you to believe too, right? They come and they evangelize to you. Please come join me. And that's not a problem. That's okay. And that's how it is with a lot of people in food. And so, there's no reason I have to go and say, listen, we don't have scientific evidence for that. Actually, it's the opposite. Um, oh well. My
yeah,
concern, though, is when that type of misinformation prevents people from getting care or eating or living in a manner that really would improve a lot of their problems or
yeah,
prevent some of the problems.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, Jennifer, I had never heard this before, but to hear you evangelize to you, that's powerful. That's a powerful statement. They're evangelizing to you. I never kind of put it in that
Yeah.
context. That's terrific. All
Yeah,
right.
that's a very good way of putting it. That's
It
exactly
is.
what's happening. All that social media, all the videos, like the thing that I've shown you, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
like the Liver King.
I was watching a video with Alex, and I said, "Stop the video, Alex," because this guy is explaining insulin completely backward. And Alex is a really smart guy, and had Alex believed it, he kind of really would have been a little, I hate to say it, a little dumber after, because he believed what this guy was
Right.
evangelizing,
Right. Yeah.
and it was untrue. It was just simply untrue. All right, so I want to tap into you and all of your CIA skills,
Okay.
meaning culinary. For people who tuned in late, CIA, she doesn't work for the CIA.
No,
It's
not
this
that one.
Culinary Institute of America, the world's premier culinary school in the world, which Jennifer is a professor of, a graduate with honors of. No dietitian I know has ever done that. So, Jen, how do we make the food taste better? How do we make vegetables taste better? I
All
promised
right.
people at the beginning you were going to tell us. So
Okay.
help us here.
Okay. All right. I'm going to share with you some of the simplest tips I
Okay.
give to some of my clients and share with my students too. All right. Let's just take vegetables. Learn to make a salad dressing. Okay. Or buy a salad dressing in a jar. Let's say an Italian vinaigrette, right? Wine, vinegar, oil. Okay. And there's an easy way to do this. All right. You could do it with a jar. Dump in the oil, dump in the vinegar, dump in some seasoning, shake, shake, shake. Okay. That's just an overview of it. Now, if you steam some vegetables, Alex, maybe you've done that in the microwave, and they come out,
Mhm.
they're like, so. What if you drizzle some of that salad dressing, vinaigrette, whatever you want to call it, on top of those cooked vegetables? Why do we have to put salad dressing on salad? We can put it on cooked vegetables. Or think of a dish that you really like, macaroni and cheese, and think maybe I can start by stirring a little vegetables into that. A real easy one, baby spinach. Because you can take a handful of this baby spinach, and you don't have to do anything to it. It's already clean and ready to use. And when you stir that into the mac and cheese, it's going to shrink down to like nothing. So the reality is, maybe in just a couple bites of your mac and cheese, you've just gotten in and serving a vegetable. You've just gotten all those nutrients and benefits from that vegetable. You still got a lot of the rest of the regular mac and cheese to enjoy. So another way to do it is I tell people, have soups. Right? Let's say we're going to
What?
buy soups.
Oh,
Wintertime soups.
yeah.
So, okay, let's start with a Progresso. Am I allowed to say a brand name there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I am not advocating one over the other. I just need an example. So let's say you bring home Progresso's, I don't know, chicken noodle soup. Okay. You can add in frozen vegetables to that. Add in some frozen cut green beans. Add in some frozen peas and carrots. Or better yet, go ahead and take some of that baby kale or baby spinach and stir that in. And you've done two things here. One, you've just expanded your portion. Like if you had 1 cup, 1 bowl of that Progresso soup, you're going to need a bigger bowl now to fit these vegetables. And you can start with just a little bit. You can say, you know what? I'm just going to try 2 spinach leaves today. That's it. It's like a micro movement. Okay?
Well, that's the next thing you say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us that.
Okay.
So low calorie and nutrient dense.
Yes, but I'm not even going to say low calorie. Okay? Because the reality is, okay, let's Alex, what's a high calorie vegetable in your opinion?
There are none, as far as I know. I guess maybe like a banana. I don't know. I can't think of one that they're all fairly low.
I don't know too many people who developed a weight problem from eating too many carrots or bananas. Usually there's something else going on and going in them that's really the culprit. Okay?
Yeah.
So with vegetables, any type.
So you're kind of also saying when you add these kinds of foods, you're adding some fiber, you're
Yeah.
adding some volume,
Yep.
and it may even be that you don't finish all that mac and cheese, possibly,
Possibly.
because you're getting a little more full.
Possibly.
Because, yeah, that's what you're kind of saying here, I think. Is that right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? Okay, I'm going to throw another wild idea here. Maybe after you've done this enough times, putting some, let's say, spinach into your mac and cheese, maybe you might actually end up liking it more. I mean, it might take 10 times of doing this, but you might actually get to a point where you're like, you know what? I really like that spinach or that broccoli in my mac and cheese.
Um, Jen, are people going to find this in your book?
Well, I don't
Maybe,
think so.
maybe, Esma? Not really. Okay, all right.
They'll find it by just talking to me, okay? Yes, maybe I should go ahead and publish more, post more things and these
All right.
kinds of tips. But I like just talking about it.
Okay, that's fair enough. But just as a side, people could contact you, and they can have a teleconference with you individually
Absolutely.
if they fall in love with you and want to talk to you more, because you're saying
Absolutely.
things that make so much sense, and you're really not asking people. Look, you have to change. You're not. There's no have to here. There's no
Yeah.
you're supposed to. There's no you should or you can't. You're not. I don't hear that at all, which is helpful because nobody likes to be told what to do,
Of course not.
particularly when it comes to
Of
what
course
they
not.
eat. And I don't hear even a scintilla of that with you. You're really It's like jujitsu kind of. You're rolling with what people are doing
Yes.
and helping them. So a good way for people to think about this then is, okay, how can I add something that might be a little healthier than what I'm eating to what I'm eating? Is that
Yes.
or
Rather than saying, okay, I got to cut this out, I got to cut that out, say,
right?
okay, let me pick something that I know is going to contribute to my good health, and let me see where I can sneak that in.
Okay,
I
got
have
it.
to I have to make an important point here. Okay, most of the time when people are setting a goal and they say, yes, I am going to add spinach every time I have mac and cheese. Okay, I like to do a reality check with them, and I call this the multiple choice question. So now I'm going to ask you a multiple choice question, but before I do, I'm going to give you your answer options. Option number one, not a shot in hell, I'm going to do it. Option number two, I might. I might do it. Option number three, I'm probably going to, yeah. Or option number four, oh, absolutely, no problem, I can do that. And so when they say their stated goal, like, okay, I'm going to start adding spinach to my mac and cheese every time I make it. I say, okay, how likely is it you're actually going to do that? And oftentimes I'll get an answer that says, yeah, no, I might do it. I'm like, you know what? Let's rework that goal. What is
Okay,
something you can do where you'd say, absolutely, I can do that? And that's the starting point.
okay. So that's what you kind of mean also by micro movement, like the
Yes.
belief you can,
Yeah.
right? The self efficacy, which
Right.
we like to talk about in our program a lot. The belief you
Yes.
can.
Yes.
When
Good.
people in our program say, I'm going to try, I have a little triangle. I actually do. And I ring it. It drives them.
That's
I
good.
do. It drives them nuts. But I ring it because I don't want to hear them say, I'm going to try. I want to hear them say, I'm going to put spinach in my
Right.
mac and cheese. I'm not going to try. You're hedging your bet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you on board with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think I
Okay.
might get the triangle though.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's
That's
a ding,
brilliant.
ding, 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 ding. I
That's
love it. It's
brilliant.
right next to my
Yeah.
next to my computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Good.
I want to elaborate on one other thing with this.
Yeah.
So when we're asking people, we're saying, hey, let's look at some of these micro movements you could take because they're so confident. Oh, I can do that. That's so easy. Micro movements lead to slower progress if you're defining progress by the number on the scale, right?
Right.
And I find that a lot of people, when they're in that phase of I'm so uncomfortable in my body, they want to run from their body. And so the minute they get like psyched that I'm going to start eating differently, the thought of slowing it down, of setting realistic goals is scary, right? They would rather wait to listen. I'm just going to keep all this stuff out of my diet until I get down to my weight goal. Then I'll start to play around with these things. And I think that is a really dangerous thing to do because when you are so uncomfortable in your body, okay, you are highly motivated. So if you can practice making some of these small changes, changes that require moderation, okay, instead of really strict boundaries and rules,
Uh,
you're developing a skill. And that skill might not happen once you get to the point of being at the weight. Small changes, although they can build up your confidence that, hey, I can make changes, I can do this, they don't lead to the rapid weight loss, the predictable, yes, weight loss. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Rich.
What you're reminding me of is, we talk a lot about, and it kind of makes me a little bit crazy sometimes. Like we feel like we need to reward ourselves for different eating. And, people say, oh, I'm going to get a massage because I ate a lower calorie. But the reality is human beings don't respond to a reward 2 days later. I think the reward is simply making, and I think you're saying the same thing, making the change to become healthier and rewarding myself for my behavior in the
Yes.
moment. I mean, we have people who have calendars on their wall and with little stickies. And when they follow through on a plan, they said, I'm going to have X number of calories, whatever it is, they take a little sticky and they put it on their calendar. The
Right.
reward is immediate, and the reward is they simply took care of themselves.
Yeah,
So I think you're kind of saying the same thing.
I am.
Is it?
It's the reward is I did it.
You did it.
I wanted to
Exactly.
do it, and I
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it makes me kind of crazy to say, oh, I'm going to have a massage. Well, you have a massage 2 days later. Pavlov, the psychologist, would say that's never going to reinforce your behavior.
Correct.
It's too late. It's too far away from
Yeah.
the behavior. So, yeah, great. I'm on board. All right. I'm going to switch direction for a moment. This isn't something you highlighted, but using different senses. I would just like to hear a little bit about because you said the snap, crackle, and pop, sizzling, odors, smells, temperature. Because we teach people the strongest cue for a food craving is vision. In that sense of you see the food, you have it in your cabinet, whatever, it's going to trigger the strongest craving. But I kind of want to know what you mean by this. And maybe you mean the same thing, maybe something different. What do you mean?
Well, I think I often reference, the sight, the sounds, the smells of food when talking about how do you become a more mindful eater, or how do you slow down your eating instead of just shoving it in so fast. And I encourage people to imagine that they were a food blogger, or they were going to be posting something on social media about this food. First of all, they would closely look at it, possibly in the process of taking a photo of it. Well, how's the lighting with this? How's the angle? And then they might also, if they were going to write about that dish, well, they would taste it. And they might think, oh, it needs more salt, or, oh, too spicy, too hot. They might comment on the aroma. What does it smell like? Is there a sound? I don't know if they still make those like fajita platters where they come out from the restaurant and the sizzling hot platter and you hear okay, so that's sound. Or I think sometimes of like if you're making a pot of tea, and I have one of those tea kettles that when the water is boiling, it sounds like a freight train coming through your house. So starting to notice sounds, smells, sights, textures, as though you're going to write about it.
Yeah, so it slows you down.
It slows you down. It helps you to be more mindful of your eating.
Okay, got it. Makes perfect sense. You said take a picture of your food. Why?
Because you do that before you start eating. So you pause, you look at it, you have just become mindful. Okay. Doing something that, hey, let's go back to religion here, right? That moment of we must say a prayer or a grace before we start eating, that is a pause where you have a moment to do what you want mentally, but that can benefit you with eating better, eating slower, eating less.
Great. The other thing you said, the 20-minute rule. and you said it's BS. The 20-minute rule being you eat slowly enough, mindfully enough, as you're describing, so that the signal for satiety, for feeling full, doesn't happen for 20 minutes. So if you eat in 10 minutes, you might eat more food than, right?
I'll have a little bit of a problem with that. You don't feel any sense of fullness until 20 minutes after eating. So first of all, yes, there is research that says, hey, it might take 20 minutes before the hormones that are part of the eating and digestive process get the signal to your brain. Okay? I don't
Right.
dispute that. But here's the thing. If somebody is used to eating a full meal in 5 or 10 minutes, asking them to slow it down because you need 20 minutes before your body, recognizes fullness. I think that's very unrealistic. And furthermore, there's more to it. But how many people do we know where we eat well beyond fullness? That's the point. There's all this food there. I'm just going to keep eating it. So it doesn't matter that, oh, good thing I slowed down. It's 20 minutes. Now I feel full. You're going to continue to eat.
Okay. All right. I want to switch gears again. You and I both are well educated. We have science, medical background, everything. I want to talk with you about the 5-second rule for a second. And I'm going to read the title of this paper so that there's context. Residence time and food contact time effects on transfer of Salmonella typhimurium from tile, wood, and carpet. Testing the 5-second rule. Yeah. Tell people what the 5-second rule is.
And I love the 5-second rule.
You love the 5-second rule, so you know it.
It's the 5-second rule. But let me just clarify: if you drop food on the floor, but you pick it up for 5 seconds, it's safe to eat. Well, this study gave us that. And first of all, what they tested in this is it published?
Bologna.
Yeah. Bologna and bread, a bologna sandwich. So here's the take-home message. If you're eating a bologna sandwich and you drop it on the carpet, pick it up and eat it. Okay? Dust it off. It's probably not going to have the salmonella on it. But if you drop your bologna sandwich on a wood or tile floor, don't eat it. That salmonella or whatever bacteria of the day it is on there in some cases almost instantaneous.
Okay. Jen sent me this paper, a scientific paper in a real journal about the 5-second rule. And in my life, I have never seen anything written like that. It was hilarious. But you just heard it, folks. The 5-second rule. She told you what you can do with your bologna sandwich.
Yeah.
And I even had to ask her, do they even have bologna anymore? But they do.
They do, absolutely.
They do. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, culinary art therapy. Mm-hmm. I have a big asterisk, big star next to it.
Okay.
Tell us.
Okay.
I had never even heard this term.
It's not widely. It is not widely used. It's a concept, though, that I've been practicing a long time. And it's basically taking the process of preparing food, thinking about food, cooking the food, serving the food, that allows you to connect, one, with yourself, with your body, with your emotional state of being, and with the food. So where this becomes very helpful is with people whose eating patterns are really distorted and problematic in their life. I don't want to say eating disorder. It doesn't have to be an eating disorder, but disruptive. The way they eat, the way they deal with food is really disruptive of their well-being. And so when we get together and we start cooking food, okay, it opens up a conversation. And that conversation could be anything. Conversation could be, let's say we're talking about flavor, right? And we're cooking, I'm going to go with a lasagna, okay? So we're making a lasagna, And
Which, by the way, I have had her lasagna, and it's unbelievable. Just as an aside. But
so people come in with preconceived ideas. Well, I can't eat lasagna. Are you kidding me? My doctor said I can't have cheese. I can't have beef. That's not acceptable. So sometimes in the process of cooking, beliefs they have that they might not even be fully aware of or haven't verbalized before comes out. And now we can have a conversation. Wait a minute, what do you mean? Why can't you have cheese? Cheese is really bad for you. Well, it could be, yeah, if we're eating, a pound of cheese at a time, that might be. Or if all that cheese and beef is filling you up and you then don't want any kind of fruits or vegetables or grains or nuts, and yeah, that's a problem. But couldn't we do this? What if we were to cut back on some of the cheese in that lasagna? And let's try this. What if we were to chop up a bunch of mushrooms and we could blend these finely chopped mushrooms with some of the beef? Let's try that and let's see if it works in this lasagna. And then we'll be tasting lasagna. So here we are, we're now eating mindfully, right? And the person, almost from the perspective of like a scientific experiment, I'm not saying, hey, you got to eat more vegetables in your lasagna. We're saying, let's evaluate this. What do you think? Do the mushrooms work? Do we put in too much of the mushrooms? Okay, maybe we should leave the mushrooms out. How about spinach? Or what if we were to, let's mix half of the ground beef with half ground turkey. Maybe that would work. So it is a more flexible way of discussing food. It is a non-judgmental way of discussing food. And it can
yeah,
also be a very safe way. It's non-threatening. We're cooking. Yeah. We're
yeah,
talking recipes. People love cookbooks. They don't use them to cook. But they love cookbooks. They love recipes. And I think it's a positive way to interact with food. And that's helpful if the person has had a really disruptive, disturbing, disordered relationship with food in their body.
right. So, it's just awesome, really, to hear you talk about these sorts of things because of your culinary skills. And you've made such simple solutions solutions or ideas about
Mm-hmm.
how to jazz up what you're having
Yeah,
to make it lean a little bit more toward
yeah.
health. And, you don't hear that from everybody. So that's really
I
tapping
just,
into your. Go
Rich, I
ahead.
just thought of another good recommendation that I don't want to
Okay.
forget it. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I call it the rub and roast. So if you have, let's take a chicken breast. Okay, kind of boring, not very tasty, gets a little dry. But if you do this, if you were to take a salt-free seasoning blend, right, a salt-free Italian seasoning, and you were to really load it up on that chicken breast, okay, chicken thighs are even better. If you were loaded up and then put on a little bit of salt and pepper, and just put in that hot oven and roast it and get it out when it's 165 degrees internal temperature. So it might be helpful to have a thermometer, but you don't have to. That chicken is going to have a lot more flavor. Okay. And it's easy to do. You can do
Okay.
that with the vegetables. Like Alex, you mentioned cauliflower earlier. Okay. Cauliflower is another really easy one. All right, let's drizzle a little oil on it. And then let's put, again, a salt-free seasoning because you can put a whole lot of it on there. If my seasoning blend has salt in it, I can't put that much on or it's going to get too salty. So I like ones that are salt-free. I just load it up on the vegetable, on the chicken, on the fish, on the meat, on the tofu, whatever one.
Yeah.
And then I do a little bit of the salt, whatever it is going to meet my palate and my health needs. And it's a very simple way to make something easy that's got a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah. Okay. You told me gaining insight into one's behavior, and that's sort of what you're describing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
The way, yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. That's a really good description of culinary art therapy, which I had never heard that term.
Oh, can I add one more thing, Rich? Okay.
Yes, of course.
Speaking
Your
of
podcast.
culinary art therapy, I have been working with some of my colleagues at the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, not CIA.
That's the
No. We got secrets, but they're not those kinds of secrets, right? And we've been developing a master's program for chefs, for people with culinary experience, called Culinary Therapeutics. And so I guess in a way it is sort of like that culinary art therapy, only we are giving the chefs, all right, somebody that's not a healthcare professional, somebody that knows food, we're giving them the skills, the knowledge that they need to integrate into a healthcare system. Because right now there's been a real disconnect between, okay, we got all our doctors, our dietitians, our healthcare professionals, our wellness professionals, and then we've got the team that really knows food, chefs, culinarians, and we're trying to bring them together. So I just want to give a shout out to the Masters in Culinary Therapeutics from the Culinary Institute of America, not the CIA in Washington.
Or the NSA.
Or the NSA.
So I would then say, to summarize this maybe, or synthesize it, switching the conversation to a fun, non-threatening recipe development activity can make the person feel less threatened and less judged. It gives us a way to talk about food and nourishment in a new and more positive manner. That's sort of synthesize what you're saying. Okay, great.
Exactly.
Final point I have here is fantasy meals.
Okay.
Fill us in.
All right. Well, sometimes I say to people, if I had a magic spoon, and I would wait.
Magic what?
A magic spoon.
Spoon, okay.
Spoon. I'm cooking.
Yeah.
It's a little less threatening than a magic knife. Okay, so we go with the magic spoon. If I could wave that and give you whatever kind of meal you wanted, there's no impact on your health whatsoever. What would you want and why? So, a lot of people would say, oh my God, give me a prime rib steak. I want the mashed potatoes. I want fish with a cheesecake, whatever indulgent food they want. And you learn something. Like, really? Okay, so if I gave that to you, and you ate the whole thing because it'd be certainly so delicious, how would you belly feel after that? With, oh my God, I'd probably feel stuffed and uncomfortable. Oh, it's such a good meal. Right? And I might suggest then, you know what? If I was to give you a smaller portion, all right, let's do a smaller cut of that steak and the potatoes, and maybe threw in something like, I don't know, have you ever had roasted broccoli? Okay. What would you think? How would that make you feel? And they start to think about it. They start to question their way of eating certain meals. Or somebody might say, oh, well, I'd have X, Y, and Z. I'd have a pasta meal, or I'd have this great vegan dish, such and such. But I'd have olive oil with it, and I'd have, fried calamari. And I go, why haven't you done that? I find out, maybe it's a money issue. Maybe there's an issue with food insecurity that's not being addressed at all. Or maybe they've got a distorted belief that says, oh, fried foods aren't good for you. I can't have fried food. Wait a minute. We're talking about fried seafood here. There's some benefits to calamari. What about frying it seems wrong to you? And now we have an opportunity to address a misbelief they might have that is not going to come up if I try giving them a diet sheet or, okay, here's what you're going to have, here's what you can't have. So it's really just a creative way to talk food, a creative way to talk food and health.
Great. I am sure there are some people out there who have never heard the term food insecurity, which you and I know very well. Could you, in 2 sentences, just explain what it means?
Food insecurity is the term for meaning you don't have enough to eat. Okay. Now, it can be in a lot of different forms. Okay. It might be that you have enough to eat the first 3 weeks of a month, but then your money's out and you don't have enough food the last week. It can mean any number of things. But there is research that really supports that people that experience food insecurity have worse health outcomes. And yet, a lot of times, we don't recognize when somebody who looks like they're doing absolutely fine in life might not actually have enough food. Or I think
Yeah.
another term that's coming up is nutrient insecurity. So what
Right.
that means is that, listen, I got plenty of food, right? I can go to the dollar store near me and I can get tons of junk food, tons of food that's highly processed, but I'm not getting enough nutrients. And so
Okay.
that's another concern with somebody's
Okay.
health
Great.
outcome.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, I have just two more. I'm keeping my eye on the time. We're at
Okay.
1 hour, 12 minutes. Um, the final sentence I have here is: what emotions, if any, do people notice during the process of cooking and eating? Can you just sort of speak to that for a moment? The
Okay.
emotions, because that
Emotions.
sounds very powerful.
It is powerful. It is powerful. And some people may experience, I'll just use the term flashback, right? So when I was growing up, my mom would cook dinner. That was a positive experience. And so when I'm in the kitchen, I notice this particularly, I mean, I grew up when meat was king still. So if I am cooking some meat, just the aroma will take me to a good spot, emotionally. But sometimes it's the opposite for people. Sometimes cooking, thinking about food might bring them back to very difficult emotional feelings, trauma related to food. And in that case, sometimes they don't want to eat. They don't want to deal
What
with food.
What would be an example of trauma related to food?
It can go from anything from verbal abuse, hurry up and order something,
Right.
or you shouldn't be eating that, you
Got it.
know.
Got it. Okay.
So from verbal abuse,
Sure.
emotional abuse, sexual abuse.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We deal with that a lot, frankly, in our
Yeah,
program as well.
yeah,
Memory of food and the good memories, the negative memories,
right.
the trauma. I mean, I believe that people with obesity suffer from a PTSD of sorts.
I agree with
The
you.
body shaming, the food shaming, the eating in secret. I mean,
Absolutely.
we have actually literally had art therapists come in and talk with people about trauma and recovering from the trauma of, being a certain size as a child and things like that. So
Yeah.
food is very complicated,
Yeah.
and
And that's
yeah,
why I paired my private practice up with Evolution Trauma Wellness. It is a group of psychologists, social workers who deal with all different types of trauma, emotional issues. And the
right.
reality is, food is often, intricately tied into that. And so that needs
Integrated.
to be addressed.
I am. I mean, we have dealt with this a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Food and trauma. I mean, because it's such a part of our lives, and if we have dysfunction at home, food is certainly going to play a role in that.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. Well, look, we're at 1 hour 15 minutes, so we're going to wrap up. But you know, just listening to you, Jennifer, you just cover so many aspects of food. It's just not about what you're putting on the plate, and
Yeah.
it's just tremendous. And so people can find you. You have a website. I'm
I do.
guessing
I do. J
what you want to just
stack.
what just
Just
what is it?
J as in Jennifer. Stack as in a stack of pancakes or a stack of
Okay.
books. Chef as in the one that cooks, and then
Okay.
RD for registered dietitian.
Okay,
And
and we will put that in the show notes so people
Yep.
can find you. We want that to happen for you. All right, so we're at the end. Can you? I don't. You can't possibly synthesize everything you've said, but do you have a takeaway message for people?
Ooh,
Do you
a
have something
takeaway.
burning? What's that?
I'm trying to think of a takeaway message, not unlike takeaway food, right?
No, not like that. Not like takeout or anything in a
Okay.
Chinese container. Like
Okay.
any final message. Even I know this is sometimes hard to do.
Yeah, no.
Um,
My final message would be it is okay to love food. It is okay for it to be your best friend. But if that
okay,
relationship is starting to hurt you, then you need to renegotiate that relationship.
beautifully said. A plus. What can I say? I mean, I knew it would be, and I have known Jennifer for since margarine was better than butter, and
Yeah, yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was president, and so forth. And she is. I consider we are good friends, and it's. It was a pleasure working with her back at NYU many years ago, and she's very skilled, very talented, and I hope everybody learned something. I can't imagine you didn't if you listen to
I
this whole
know I
thing.
did.
No,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
No, she's very special, and really appreciate you coming on.
Oh,
And
I love talking with both of you. This is terrific.
yeah, and we will certainly have you back
That would be
because
great. I want
you
that.
are a treasure, and I
Thank you.
really appreciate
Thank
it very
you.
much. So thanks very much. And for people who want to know more about the program, just put a short brief plug in for Transformation Weight Control. You can reach me directly, Rich at Transformation Weight Control. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about or our program, we have started a weight loss medication support group that we've been running for 17 months. And it has become a very big success because these medications are life altering and people are having a real difficult time coping with what a new regulation of appetite is, and it's leading to all sorts of issues, and we're the only one in the country doing it. So I would welcome the opportunity to speak with anybody about that. And I am sort of pushing this thing now because we're hearing so much misinformation about these medications, and they're helping so many people, as I'm sure you have observed in your private practice and all. And there's just a lot of misinformation, a lot of bias, stigma, medication bias, obesity bias, and you know we need to straighten that out because this is this is a chronic disease, and people need help with this. And I know you agree with that, and so that's what we've been doing in our medication support group. And I would just love everybody to come to it, frankly, because we're really doing great work, and it is the
You
only
are.
thing in the country. So, and it works perfectly well with the kind of work you're doing. We're not taking everybody away from everything else. We just want to help people cope with the changes that are being experienced. So, anyway, thank you again. A beautiful podcast, just A plus. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of emails from people in my program who have seen this one, and they're going to say, "You got to bring that woman back," and we will.
All right, guys.
So,
Have a
thanks so
wonderful
much.
night. My pleasure. Take care.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Okay,
Bye bye.
bye.